The Emmy is in a cupboard with my garam kapda right now. So it's with my wife's sweaters and some boots and some down jackets. Because it was kind of like making a movie in that Mumbai was unrehearsed. My voice came back 2 days before the Mumbai show. I rewrote this show entirely in my mind, in silence in 6 weeks. And then we went up and shot it with 17 cameras, virtually unrehearsed. Normal stand-up special is lights, smoke, aya, jokes sunaya gaya.
Hmm.
Here I'm also asking more of you as a viewer. I'm asking you to travel through time and through nations. There's a moment here where I explain a gali,
Yeah.
to white people in the cellar. You
Yeah.
should see Indian people's faces when I'm explaining the gali. They're like, "कैसे समझाएगा?" I sometimes feel like I have more freedom to talk about America than an American comic. I blackmail Netflix every year. I guilt trip them into giving me a special.
Hi, we welcome to Screen.
Thank you for having me.
So, we're here to talk about your next stand-up special on Netflix. Yeah,
Yeah.
full volume. But after winning an international Emmy, do you take the pressure going into your next stand-up special? Do you feel that we need to take it several notches higher, or do you just go out there and perform without taking any added
I mean,
pressure?
the opening line of the special is that I won an Emmy and it means very little. You know what I mean? And that it's kryptonite in certain situations. So I don't take that very seriously at all. And mostly, I think the Emmy is in a cupboard with my garam kapda right now. So it's with my wife's sweaters and some boots and some down jackets. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay, but I personally feel after watching it that it has gone several notches higher
I
in,
appreciate
yeah, in terms of not only I mean, of course, your writing and delivering, we all know about that, but also the production
it.
value, since you've shot in three cities
Yeah,
and it's been edited so seamlessly.
thank
Uh,
you.
so, but how was it performing in three cities, knowing that you're doing it for the same stand-up special, and you're almost delivering the same set? Did you change lines here and there according to?
Well, it was very strange because it was kind of like making a movie in that Mumbai was unrehearsed. My voice came back 2 days before the Mumbai show. So
Okay.
usually when you shoot a stand-up special for even 500 people, you have done 180 shows and you know every punchline. I rewrote this show entirely in my mind, in silence in 6 weeks. And then we went up and shot it with 17 cameras, virtually unrehearsed. But there is a nice raw energy to Mumbai, you know.
Yeah.
And then London is this beautiful church, right? Where, if you'll notice, the more outward looking portions of the show, where you're talking about racism or where you're talking about the world, those are set in London. So I really wanted to use London as the soapbox to talk to the world. Um, and then, in a documentary, there's a talking head that becomes a voice for the special. And New York was that.
Hmm.
So it's like you saw these two wonderful presentations, and then a comedian walked into a basement and told you the truth about these two wonderful presentations.
Hmm.
So in that sense, I know it's asking a little bit more of the viewer
Yeah.
to to
Hmm.
consume, because a normal stand-up special is light, smoke, aya, jokes sunaya gaya.
Hmm.
Here I'm also asking more of you as a viewer. I'm asking you to travel through time and through nations.
Yeah. But did you deliver the same special at all three places and it was edited according to that, or was it different when you were delivering?
Well, the New York bits about trying to get my voice back were only done in New York,
Okay.
for instance. But there are definitely bits where I've taken one setup and I've written a separate punchline for London and a separate punchline for Mumbai. I've
Hmm.
done that 4 or 5 times in the show. So the London punchline lives only in London and the Mumbai punchline lives only in Mumbai. But at some level, we wanted to show that we are able to write for the world as well as Indian comedians. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Since you performed in all three cities and I believe extensively, what do you notice about the audience? How do they react to your jokes differently at different places?
I think they're very similar. Yeah, they really are. They're very patient. Sometimes in London or in New York, the crowd is 50% or 70% local.
Hmm.
So then I'll have to explain certain
Yeah.
things to them. But
Hmm.
the Indian crowd is very patient. They're like, मेरे को भी देखना है कैसे समझाता है. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a moment here where I explain a gali,
Yeah.
to white people in the cellar. You
Yeah.
should see Indian people's faces when I'm explaining the gali. They're like, कैसे समझाएगा? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
ये हमारा
Yeah.
our 500-year-old gali. How will he make palatable to these guys? So for them, it's a test that I have to pass or not pass as well. But
Hmm.
largely, I think funny is funny. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think if you are the loser of the story and the loser in the story, that's funny because then
Yeah.
that's very relatable to everybody.
Yeah. So, in the stand-up special, you talk about how you're often perceived as this English-speaking stand-up comedian in India,
Yeah.
and which is why but have you ever grappled? Has any part of you ever grappled with the insecurity that, I may win the Emmy, I may have these Netflix stand-up specials gain global recognition, but may not win the core audience like, say, a Zakir Khan does or a Kapil Sharma does. Has that ever been there?
No, I think perhaps my journey is I'm going to have deep interactions and very, very perhaps deeper interactions with a smaller group of people
Hmm.
over a longer period of time. And that's going to be my journey. I think
Hmm.
uh, to do what both of them do, which is masterful in their own way,
Hmm.
you have to be where they are from and have their own lived in experience. Zakir grew up in classical music and poetry, and
Hmm.
you can see that. And Kapil Sharma is so much your Punjab everyman, travel through India, etc., etc. Um, I'm not from anywhere. Unfortunately, I've kind of grown up everywhere, and so
Yeah.
I will have to be who I am. If I ever tried to do that, you would smell the inauthenticity in the material.
Hmm. But when you watch, say, both of these comedians, do you pick up anything that you kind of use in your stand-up special?
Yeah, I mean, I like watching art that is so good it makes you angry and makes you want to be better. You
Hmm.
know, so I'll go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival once a year, and then I'll see some random comic who's 25 years old, who's written a show that I was never capable of at 25. And I'll go back and write some more. But we all support each other as well. I did a trial show at Soho Theatre last month. Zakir was in town. He popped in,
Hmm.
and watched my whole thing.
Hmm.
Comedians watch. I don't know Kapil very well.
Yeah.
Of course, we've only met intermittently, but comedians on the comedy circuit in India, we are always WhatsApping each other and kind of in each other's feedback loops.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of, watching art and getting angry, you talked about Siddharip Zamipar, which was not at all angry, but you said that that it gives a platform to those who never get a chance to perform, especially in comedy.
It gives stakes to those. I think
Yes,
in
takes.
a comedy scene, there's a person with power and then there's a person without power.
Mhm.
And usually the person with power drives the comedy scene, right? And what I loved about Sitare Zameen Par is it placed the power and the driving seat
Mhm.
with people who don't normally get the driving seat.
Mhm.
And what I loved is to see a superstar like Amir give somebody else the driving seat and
Yeah.
say, "You drive the stakes of this comedy scene." It takes a very secure artist and a good artist to do that. You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. And Sitar Zameen comes from the same production house that did Delhi Belly,
Yes.
which you also reminisced about yesterday
Yeah.
by sharing Ja Churel,
Yes. Yeah.
the song from that
These
film.
are very different
Yeah,
bookends of entertainment. Let's just be clear.
which I want to talk about. That do you think that in a certain section of society, entertainment is only limited to say broad strokes, and in a certain section of society, it's only limited to satires or adult comedy? How do we reconcile the two?
I don't know what those sections are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I do think that maybe I disagree with you. I think that
Hmm.
there is an audience that will watch a very broad comedy, but also watch an extremely nuanced Hasya Kavi Mukabla with
Hmm.
Shero Shairi and Urdu lyricism as well.
Hmm.
I think it's what you want on the day. Yeah. You
Hmm.
know, I've just made a Hindi movie with the same production house,
Hmm.
with Amir Khan Productions, which will be for an audience way larger than the stand-up comedy audience
Hmm.
that I am able to perform for.
Hmm.
Uh, my audience will go and watch Zakir.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're in this wonderful place in India right now where there's purchasing power and there's intent for this thing. Hindi speakers are going for Coldplay. English
Yeah.
speakers are going for Diljit.
Yeah.
It's great. People are just like, give me something new and give me an experience.
It's great that the two Indias are coming closer.
I hope so, man. That's the dream, right?
Yeah. You said that you're not from anywhere, and which is also the title of your book, which
Yeah.
is coming out this year, The Outsider. Do
Yeah.
you think being the outsider gives you a perspective that not too many people have, or does it give you the fire to prove yourself and to belong? What does it do to you?
Both, and very clearly both. I sometimes feel like I have more freedom to talk about America than an American comic.
Yeah.
Because American comedy is very steeped in ideology,
Hmm.
silos of ideology. So suddenly you can come in as a rank outsider and be like, bro, I don't understand any of this, but here's how I see it. And it's a perspective they're not used to hearing at all. And a definite this thing for belonging. I've been in Mumbai 18 years. I consider myself a proud Mumbaiker. I go to Carnegie Hall and say, tonight you're in Mumbai. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
uh, so I think you will want what you didn't grow up with.
Hmm.
So perhaps I didn't get raised in India, which wasn't my choice. But
Hmm.
there's nothing I crave more than to take India across the world. You know.
Yeah. Right. And when you entered the comedy scene, there was virtually no comedy scene. Uh,
Let's be clear. Johnny
yeah.
Lever, Baman
Yeah.
Irani, Ash Chandler, Papa CJ, Bharat
Hmm.
Dabolkar, all doing stand up
Yeah.
way before I entered the stand
Yeah.
up scene. Yeah.
Uh, but a lot of stand-up comedians now, like Tanmay Bhatt or Varun Grover, give you a lot of credit for opening doors.
I want
Uh,
credit. Just give me cash here. What are you talking about? I don't want
yeah,
credit. Who cares who founded what and all of that stuff? Cash देने
yeah,
का. तन्मय, you have make all those ads for all those people. बस cash भेज मेरे पास और कुछ
yeah.
नहीं.
I think you've answered my question, which is that do you get enough credit for that?
I don't want credit for anything, man. I just want laughter. What is credit worth compared to laughs?
Hmm. Right. But why do you think that none of them after you could cross over like you did? Do you ever think about that?
Yet, please.
Yet.
That's the.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I have a global childhood, right? So that definitely is has aided me
Hmm.
in global touring. Every single Indian comedian right now is touring abroad.
Hmm.
Every single one. Yes, they're performing for Indian people. I understand the distinction, right? But I I also think we're on the cusp of this Indian soft power cultural open door. I think it happened with, for instance, Korean cinema. I think where the entire world is consuming, and I think we're literally on the cusp of that.
Hmm.
It's something that is begun by RRR and All We Imagine Is Light. And, it's like 2 years away, 3 years away. This will become a much easier conversation.
Hmm. So movies have a huge role to play there.
No, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah. Do you think that being a film star or being a film actor, has that also helped you in your popularity as a stand-up comedian, or do you see them differently?
I've never been a film star,
Yeah.
to be very clear. And I haven't done a movie in 9 years. So I walked away from movies at a certain point very clearly because I sensed this opportunity and this calling to do this. And I was like, I won't be able to do both and get really good at this. So I have to give it everything. But we were having a conversation right now. 80% of my audience is between the age of 16 and 30 years old. Very young. They found me as a comic. They know me as a comic. They don't know I'm the bald guy from Delhi Belly. You know what I mean? So to them, it's the comedy, and that's the connection. Having said that, I God has been kind. The tribe has grown, and I hope it's enough to come see me in a movie later this year. You know.
Hmm. Yeah. So from landing to now,
Hmm.
to full volume, what has shifted within you? What changes have you observed about yourself?
I think it's for you to observe. You tell me, man. You've seen both specials, I would assume, right? What do you
Yeah.
think is different?
Well, I mean, that's a long conversation, but it must feel special that you're the only one who has cracked those many specials on Netflix, and you have gained those that global recognition through the streaming platform.
Well, look, I think a special is a snapshot into who you are at that moment. That's all a comedy special is. And
Hmm,
this is just who I am right now. I lost my voice and I wanted to do something silly and fun. And landing was fun, but it was heavy.
hmm,
And I was like, it's time to be a fool again.
hmm,
And it's time to do that. But
hmm,
why Netflix and I keep going is blackmail. Yeah, I just I blackmail Netflix every year. I guilt trip them into giving me a special. How about that?
yeah. Very glad. But finally, speaking of losing your voice, we saw that journey. We
Yeah.
will see that journey in your stand-up special. But what is more frustrating, losing your physical voice or losing your political voice?
I I think losing your physical voice. I'm just gonna be very honest.
Yeah.
Deep points aside, the 2 months that I went through without a voice is physically I would not wish on my worst enemy. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible experience. So the physicality of it, not being able to communicate, not being able to ask for a cup of chai, not being able to sit with your own thoughts for 6 weeks. It's a lot. And the kind of medication you have to take to get off of it, the kind of vocal therapy you have to do,
Hmm.
it's like learning to walk again, except tougher.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad you've found your voice back in more ways than one.
Thank you, man.
But finally, before I let you go, you shared a post about that we see a lot of idols, we seek a lot of idols online, and that we should not be doing that.
Yeah.
For people who idolize you, what would you like to tell them? Why should they not idolize you?
I don't think I have an audience. I don't have fan base. Fan
Hmm.
base idolizes. My audience is like, I like this, I don't like this, try something different. It's a very, nobody's throwing their underwear at me and asking for a selfie. It's handshakes and conversations. So I don't think there's there are way better people to idolize than comedians. And I think my audience knows that.
Okay. Looking forward to whatever you do next.
Thank you,
I
man.
hope you win an Emmy for this one as well.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. Well, touch wood.
A primetime Emmy would do also.
Oh, from your mouth to God's ears, man. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thanks, man.